let's talk about the ultimate Jaws ripoff and Jaws 2, Jaws 3, and The Last Shark and Deep Blood ripoff movie there is. This is a movie that came out in 1995, a week after I was born, and this movie takes footage from 4 or 5 different shark movies. It is notorious for that. This movie was going to be released a couple years back. I remember hearing about it. From Scream Factory. They were going to release this movie on Blu-ray, but then they decided not to and cancel it because they didn't want to get in trouble because with legal issues, because Universal owns the Jaws movies and this is not Universal, this movie. And so I can see why they did that, because this movie is barely its own movie. It's like just a scene here, 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 but everything that involves the shark in this movie is a whole different film. It's like the writers of this movie, they watched Jaws 1, 2, 3, and the Deep Blood one. I think it's called Deep Blood. It probably has like 20 different titles, foreign films. The one that came out like 89, 90, they watched that one, and then they watched The Last Shark from 81, and they just wrote the script based off of those. They just took notes, and they're like, all right, let's write a scene that will justify us taking footage from this scene, and then we'll just write a scene like this so we can take this footage from here. Like, I spot a shark from all those movies in this one, and then the shark in this movie will turn into a dolphin at times. Like, it's so inconsistent. They take footage of a dolphin and then a tiger shark and this shark, and real shark footage is being used, and it's never the same shark, clearly. But for the most part, when you see the fake shark, they use the one from The Last Shark, or the Great White, whatever it's called, in 1981. And then there's shots where it's clearly Jaws, and then there's ones where it's clearly Jaws from Jaws 3D. And then this movie is just scene after scene after scene where you're like, I've seen this in Jaws. I saw this scene's from Jaws 2, this scene's from Jaws 3, this scene's from The Last Shark. The whole movie is a fucking ripoff of so many other movies. I have nothing positive to say about this movie. I was not blown away by it. Um, I was shocked by how much it's ripping off other movies. They weren't lying when they said this movie's a ripoff. And by the way, this is a Patron request from Jeanette, who I'm guessing wanted me to watch this so I would just complain about it, because I hope you weren't thinking that I was going to like this movie. This movie is terrible. I'm hoping you're on the same page as me, because I'll feel bad if I trash this movie and you're like, but I love it. I thought this movie was garbage. Not only because it's ripping off all these other movies, but all the new stuff is garbage as well. And this movie has a 3.3 on IMDb, justifiably. It should be lower than that. And it's got, 14, 19% on Rotten Tomatoes, justifiably. And this is from the director of Bruno Mattei. And I am not a fan of this guy's filmography. He did The Other Hell in 1981, which I thought was dreadful. He also did Zombie 3, and he also did, what was it called, Hell of the Living Dead, which I thought was also just very bad. Just terrible. All the movies he's done, I've never been a fan of, and this is another one. He also did Rats from 1983 or some shit, the Killer Rats movie. That one was also not that good. But yeah, this movie was marketed at the time as Jaws 5. And then one of the posters, you can find it, it actually has the shark from the Jaws posters on it. So they were really just trying to rip off Jaws in every way they could. Like the characters in this movie, you got the Brody 2.0 and Hooper 2.0 and Quint 2.0, like all these new versions of those characters from before, except the dialogue is nowhere near as good. Some of the dialogue in this movie is ripped off verbatim from Jaws 1. They go through the same beats, they say practically the same lines. Hooper in this movie is saying the same shit. Like when they get the shark, and he's like, well, I'm not saying it's not the shark, it could be the shark. We're looking for a shark with a mouth about this big. He's doing the same things. It's all the same shit. They even take subplots and things from the novel that the first movie's based off, the book by Peter Benchley called Jaws. They took stuff from that book and they put it in here. Like the mafia thing and the bullies, and there's all this other shit going on. It doesn't add anything interesting to the movie. None of the characters in this movie are interesting. Nothing they say is interesting. The dialogue is terrible. They don't focus on these characters enough. It's just constant dumb shit happening with this bad looking shark. It's just a dreadful movie. The acting is so dreadful. The characters, there's no one that you can give a shit about. Like, I don't give a shit about anybody. And and we got these two dolphins. They should have used the dolphins more. They could have had, like, the dolphins rape the shark, and that's how they get rid of it, because we know that dolphins are rapists. That's how they should have ended this movie, but they end it like every other shark movie ever made. They blow it up, and they use footage from the Deep Blood one. It's just like, really, you just like, it's, I don't think they shot anything with a new shark in this movie. There's no shark at all created for this film. The audio mixing was terrible. There's so much like music that like drowns out the people's dialogues. I can't even hear what they're saying. Thankfully there's captions. And there, like, you get all these different like relationships and characters thrown in that they don't flesh out and you don't give a fuck about. Like, they throw in this little girl in a wheelchair who's pretending that she's paralyzed because later on she's clearly swimming and she doesn't have like a leg cast, nothing. So why is she in a wheelchair, just pretending to be handicapped? Why is she doing that? It just, and then like, she's barely in the movie. Why is she there? It makes no sense. Like, take that out. And like, they throw in this whole explanation about why the shark is behaving the way it's behaving. Like, there's something in the ocean that was dropped off by the military. Like, the military fucked up. They dropped something down there, and there's a chemical, and is it trioxin? I don't know what it is, but it's doing something. And there's like this whole hideout down there for the shark that they go and blow up. And it's like the military that's responsible for this chaos is never involved. They never come up to clean up their mess. They never take responsibility, and then they never take the fall. We never see anybody from the military show up. So why is that explanation in there? We didn't need an explanation in Jaws for why Bruce was acting the way he was acting, but now in this one we get an explanation, and it's completely useless. We don't need it in this movie. It's stupid. And this movie also rips off some of the music, of course. There's a moment where you hear the Jaws theme, and then I shit you not, you hear the fucking Star Wars theme song. I swear to God, it sounded like Star Wars. I'm not that familiar with the series. I've never seen them, but you don't even need to watch Star Wars to know the goddamn theme, because it's that popular. When it started and kicked in, it's like the thing at the beginning when the words are going across the screen. It's like that music. It's that theme song. I shit you not. But yes, I don't want to go on any further about this movie. I mean, there's nothing really to talk about. You want to watch this movie, go watch the other movies that it's ripping off, and you'll see this movie. So it's like, by reviewing this movie, I'm reviewing almost like all those other movies that it rips off, because it's doing the same scenes, beat for beat. Like, you got the mayor there, who's like, we're not closing the beach, and Brody is like, we need to close the beach. And then he's on the beach the next day, and binoculars. This family of tourists comes up to him like, we heard there was a shark. It's like, no, you were misled. And the little kid's like, but Daddy, I thought there was a shark. Shut up, Brian. Pfft. Just like bitch slaps his own son right in front of a police officer. Just, that's Italians for you. That's what they always do. And it's just like, and then there's the big meeting where they're like drawing the shark on the chalkboard, and they're like, we need to get this shark, offer the reward. It's like all the same scenes. And then, but Brody in this movie, he's not like Brody in the first Jaws, where he's like a main character. In this one, he just randomly gets in a helicopter and then he dies, and then nobody finds out about it. There's no reaction, and then this one guy's son gets killed. We never see his reaction to that. There's no emotion in the film. There's no impact that these people's deaths have on other characters. No one gives a shit that this person is no longer living. It's just ridiculous. And how they blew up the shark, I have no idea. They went down there and they like planted like C4 on these like beams, and then we see the shark's POV chase this guy up to the surface. The bombs are on the ocean floor, pretty far down. It detonates, but the shark's all the way up here chasing this one dude, and because there was an explosion below, it somehow blew up the shark like it was inside his body. They made it look like the bomb was inside the shark when it detonated. That's clearly not the case, so I don't understand that scene at all. And then, like, take all the mafia shit out of this movie. It's so stupid. And I love how there's this small dweeb as like the mafia's bodyguard working for him. Like, you're gonna hire this dipshit to be your bodyguard? It was just ridiculous. And then like they used the baby shark from Jaws 3, like the small one, and then later on it's like, oh no, there's the mama shark. The small one in that movie is in this one. And then, you know, that scene in Jaws 3 where Dennis Quaid sneaks up on his brother and he's on the beach with the like bullhorn pretending to be a cop. You know, you out there, like that whole scene, it's in this one. Beat for beat, same shit. It's almost shot the same way too. The dialogue's similar. They pull up like, hey, isn't that your brother's car? All the same. And then another scene that's taken, Jaws 2. Remember when that chick just randomly starts pouring gasoline all over herself and then shoots a flare and blows up? That's in here, except the guy shoots the flare and the girl is next to him dumping gasoline all over herself for some dumb fucking reason. And then they all ignite. People in the distance hear the explosion. They look over like, oh my gosh, what was that? You know the opening of Jaws 1? We got that scene in here too. A couple goes on the beach. It's nighttime, although it doesn't look like it's nighttime. It's like that day for night shooting where they just kind of change it in post to make it look like it's nighttime. But they're on the beach. The guy doesn't go in, but the girl does, and then she gets killed, and the guy has to go report her death to the police. They find the body on the beach, seagulls all around it. They have to identify the body. They have to determine what the cause of death is. It's a shark. And then tell the fucking mayor about it. He's not going to close the beach. It's all the same fucking movie. Jesus Christ. And then, I love this line, I'm so full of love, it's dripping my eyes. Not dripping from my eyes, just dripping my eyes. My eyes are dripping out of my skull, because that's how much full of love I am. And then another line was like, there's two ways we can kill this shark. We can kill it, or we can starve it to death. It's like, well, that's the same fucking thing. Like, if you're starving it, you're killing it. I didn't understand that at all. That was so stupid. And another thing that was stupid was the fact that this guy chose shark over pussy. His girlfriend is rightfully mad at him because he goes, this new Hooper guy just runs off to go find the shark as if it's that important in his life. Like, no. Be with the girl, fuck the shark, who cares about it? And you know, they killed the tiger shark and they pull it on shore. They think that's the one. Of course it's not. But we've seen this scene before, right? In Jaws 1, except in this one, we're missing that funny-ass line from part 1 where the guy goes, oh, what? I really like that line in Jaws 1 because it's like the worst line delivery in that entire film. The guy's supposed to be like acting all confused. Like, it's a tiger shark, Hooper says, and the guy goes, oh, what? Like, I love that line. But we don't get that one here. And this one guy says, you've been watching too many shark movies. And then I laughed like, yeah, Jaws. That's what he's been watching, because he's quoting it every time he opens his stupid mouth. And, you know, we get the Jaws theme, the POV on the same POV shot from all these other movies. And, you know, all the water attacks in this movie with, like, all the people, like, racing, doing that one sport, all that shit is taken right out of The Last Shark. So it's like all these people we see die, they're victims from a different movie. And then they even take, like, the fucking cheerleaders. I swear to God, they're the same cheerleaders. They got the same color outfits and shit, pom-poms. I think they're spelling the same things with their pom-poms. That whole thing is taken right out of a different movie. It's like, what did they shoot for this movie? What did they write? I want to read the original script. I want to see all the parts where it says, insert Jaws clip here, and then insert this clip here. This is what we're going to do. Like, they had this whole thing figured out. So fucking ridiculous. We're gonna need a bigger helicopter, they say. Yeah. Okay, so I don't know. I got nothing else to say here. Yeah. Final thoughts, I guess. Fuck this movie. That's all I gotta say. So this is a weird review. Usually I go into spoilers, but there's nothing to spoil because it's the same movie as all those. I already said it all. All right. It's just there's nothing else to talk about. So fuck this movie. It's not a movie. It's 5 other movies it's ripping off. So when it comes to Cruel Jaws, don't ever waste your time with this movie because it's a huge waste of time. And there's one thing I'd rather do than watch this movie again, and that is to blow my fucking brains out. And those are my thoughts on Cruel Jaws. What did you think about this movie? Let me know in the comments below. Do you love it for some reason? Let me know why. Because it's a ripoff? I mean, that's not a good reason to love it. Just go watch the other movies. But yeah, let me know what you thought about this ripoff in the comments below. And as always, if you like what you've seen here, you can hit this like button and become a subscriber today just by clicking on my cartoon face in about 5 seconds. And until next time, we're gonna need a bigger boat.